India's vanishing forests, a crisis for wildlife. India, a land of vibrant cultures and diverse ecosystems, is facing a silent crisis. Our forests, once teeming with life, are vanishing at an alarming rate. This deforestation poses a grave threat to India's incredible wildlife. The intricate balance of nature is being disrupted. Forests are the lungs of our planet, providing oxygen and supporting life. In India, these forests are home to iconic animals. The relentless destruction of their habitat is pushing these creatures towards a precarious future. It is our responsibility to take action to protect India's natural heritage. The loss of forests is a global problem, driven by human activities such as agriculture, logging, and mining. This deforestation has devastating consequences for the planet. We must act now to protect our forests and biodiversity. The shrinking green cover, 2 decades of deforestation. Over the past 2 decades, India has witnessed a dramatic decline in its forest cover. Official reports paint a stark picture. Between 2001 and 2021, India lost over 1.5 million hectares of forest. This loss represents a staggering blow to the nation's biodiversity and its ability to combat climate change. The rate of deforestation has been particularly high in regions like the Northeast and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, known for their rich biodiversity. One of the most alarming trends is the fragmentation of forests. Large, contiguous forests are being carved up into smaller patches, isolating wildlife populations and making them more vulnerable to extinction. This fragmentation is often driven by linear infrastructure projects such as roads and railways, which slice through forests and disrupt animal movement corridors. This loss is not evenly distributed. Some areas, like the Western Ghats and the Himalayas, have experienced even more significant declines. These regions are home to a disproportionate amount of India's biodiversity, making their loss even more concerning. Biodiversity under threat, tales from the front line. The impact of deforestation on India's wildlife is devastating. The Bengal tiger, a symbol of India's natural heritage, is now restricted to less than 7% of its historical range. The story of the Bengal tiger is not unique. The Indian elephant, another iconic species, has lost over 80% of its habitat in the last century. The Hasdeo Arand forest in central India stands as a stark example. This biodiversity-rich region, home to endangered animals like leopards and sloth bears, is facing immense pressure from coal mining. The clearance of forests for mining not only destroys habitats but also fragments the remaining forest, isolating wildlife populations and making them more vulnerable. Consider the plight of the great Indian bustard. This magnificent bird, once a common sight in India's grasslands, is now critically endangered, with fewer than 150 individuals remaining in the wild. Habitat loss due to agriculture and infrastructure development is the primary driver of its decline. Section 4. Drivers of deforestation, unraveling the root causes. Deforestation in India is driven by a complex interplay of factors. Agriculture remains the primary culprit, with vast swathes of forest cleared for crops and livestock grazing. The increasing demand for agricultural land to feed India's growing population is putting immense pressure on forests. Rapid urbanization and industrialization are also major contributors to deforestation. As cities expand and industries sprout, forests are cleared to make way for housing, factories, and infrastructure. The demand for timber and other forest products further fuels the destruction. Illegal logging, driven by the demand for timber, continues to plague India's forests. Organized criminal networks operate in many parts of the country, illegally felling trees and smuggling timber across borders. This illicit trade not only depletes forests but also deprives local communities of valuable resources. Mining, particularly for coal and iron ore, is another significant driver of deforestation. Large-scale mining operations often involve clearing vast areas of forest, leading to habitat loss and fragmentation. The dust and pollution from mining activities further degrade the surrounding environment, impacting both wildlife and human communities. Section 5. Beyond wildlife, the wider implications of forest loss. The consequences of deforestation extend far beyond the loss of wildlife. Forests play a crucial role in regulating climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Deforestation releases this stored carbon, contributing to global warming. India's forests are estimated to store over 7 billion tons of carbon, equivalent to several years of the country's greenhouse gas emissions. The loss of forests also exacerbates the impacts of natural disasters. Forests act as natural buffers, absorbing rainfall, preventing soil erosion, and reducing the severity of floods and landslides. Deforestation increases the vulnerability of communities living in and around forests to these natural hazards. Air pollution is another major consequence of deforestation. Trees act as natural air purifiers, absorbing pollutants and releasing oxygen. Deforestation reduces air quality, leading to respiratory problems and other health issues, particularly in urban areas already grappling with high levels of pollution.